So just kind of getting a sense of what's happening with neutrality around this abdominal content can help us get a sense of what's happening on the back side of this. So, you know, the pelvis and the ribs are always very intimately linked, but we kind of miss a lot of that due to the viscera. You know, just between the pubic bone and the ASIS and diagonally towards the navel, just about 2 inches in, that's the iliocecal valve. And there's McBurney's point in there just where we can catch the appendix as well. Once you've got that hip crease sliding around to the back, just above where the sacrum ends, you've got L5 and then L4. The idea being for this release towards the Illiolumbar ligament. Now, I'm going to palpate with the softness of my fingertips against the spinous process of L4. My opposite hand, and I can just bring her hand across to create space, is going to come under the body and just to the top of that iliac crest. I want to create a line of tension between the 2 points. It doesn't have to be a lot. The intention here is just to sink to tissue depth that's relative. The Illiolumbar ligament is going to come and blend off of the front side of the sacrum just to the body of the TVP, the transverse process of L4. So by giving myself leverage off of the spinous process, and that's what those bony protuberances along the vertebra are, right? Just leverage spots. Gives me a chance to sink to depth, find that line of tension, and then just hang out and wait for that and look for that release. Initially, that line of tension is going to be a little bit diagonal, but once I've had that unwind, and it's just starting to now, once I've got that, I can start to shift my attention to a bit more of a horizontal release. That line of tension starts to pivot so that the distraction is side to side rather than diagonally top to bottom. And there it starts to go. I'm just feeling that unwind. There's a little bit of borborygmus in the intestinal. And appreciating the impact of that tension along the sacrum, traveling throughout the whole vertebral column. This is going to be nice to do bilaterally. So I want to check in just to make sure, but I'm going to assess. You know, while we're here, I think it's also really nice to do cross hands along the inguinal ligament, just because this fascial line of the inguinal ligament can divide the abdominal contents and its relativity to the lower body. The easiest thing is the heel of the hand against the pubic bone. You just want to say, excuse my reach, or excuse my hand, and make sure that it's the heel of the hand right up against it. One way to do that is just to slide down until you've got that pubis with that pubic symphysis in between. Cross hands to the ASIS and a light pressure down between the two. We're looking for that line of tension that runs between, in a straight line, that direct tension of the inguinal ligament. Doesn't require like a great weight or mobilization, but this can be a really powerful mobilization for the body because the fascial tension along that femoral artery, nerve, and vein, feeding the front and anterior part of the leg all the way down to the ankle, and returning 60% of the blood supply from the legs back up through the inferior vena cava. The inguinal ligament's release of any tension that might be existing across that communicates profoundly and is a really nice fascial release through and across the pelvis. It's nice when it starts to release and unwind, because you realize like it's less about me doing and more about me just providing some awareness and then allowing the body to do. I think it's important to approach with that intention in the background throughout all of these practices, and just be appreciative of the body's natural inclination to heal. Once you sort of reach the limitation of, or the edge of where this release perhaps wants to go, and there's always going to be layers, there's always going to be progressive depths to apply. These rely upon clinical assessment and the struggle of compensation. We don't want to release something that's not ready to be released. So just making sure that you're mindful of that, and we'll see you in the next video.